Okay, let's see here. Okay, we're alive. Let's just do this one because the title's already built in and I'd have to recopy the keyframe and stuff like that. So we just
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Yeah, welcome to the show. This is photo play vérité, for lack of a better title at the moment. We might change the name. We don't know. We'll call it Workstation or something clever.
Welcome to the most professional, unprofessional podcast.
We're just gonna leave it completely transparent. So we were having technical troubles and whatnot, and now we're back. And I figured out the Chat GPT Tom Hardy, and he's pretty easy to access as long as you mute your voice, and he won't be interrupted. He's very touchy. In case we want to check in with Tom. So Gunnar, how are you today? You went surfing earlier with your mother?
I did, yes.
Okay, cool. And what did that entail? You guys went on Sunset there?
Yeah, we decided to go for a surf. She was going already, and I was looking at my schedule, and I was able to fit it in, so I joined. We drove down to Sunset Beach and hopped in the water, got some great waves.
Nice. We have no listeners right now. Should I tell some people? Maybe I should tell somebody to tune in. Let me just see if I can get a guy to tell some people, just so we have some live listeners. I don't want to interrupt you, but let me get into...
All good. I can do the same.
Yeah. Let me see here. So not to have too long of a pause.
Yeah, sure. Well, we can come back to it.
We really need to get this looping video is better than the live feed, I think. Personally.
Okay.
Now it's telling me it's buffering again. I don't know. I have to fix that later. Open widget. I'm not gonna even bother. So we've been running for 2 minutes and some change. So you went surfing. That's quite a watch you have there. I don't know if we spoke about it last time. And you made the decision to pair the watch with a bracelet. Like you didn't go just one item. You went two on one wrist.
I like it. I like the layers of it.
You liked it? Because I see people do that, and I'm not someone... I mean, I wear a watch running.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I ever wear a watch. I never wear a watch. I don't like anything really like attached to me. You know what I mean? Like I just... and so I don't really wear a watch. I guess it would be useful to some degree in the aversion to pulling out your phone, because we always have the time on our phones currently.
I'm figuring out how to do a link right now on Instagram, so I can share.
But you can copy the link right from the YouTube that you just were on.
I know. I copied the link, but
yeah,
if somebody clicks on this link, it doesn't take them anywhere.
Let's see.
Can you ask Tom?
Yeah, let me ask Tom what's going on.
Just be like, how do I share an active link to an Instagram story?
Yeah. Let me just get Tom on the horn here. Tom, can you please tell me how we can get an active link, a YouTube link, to connect, so we can send it to people, so there's a link that they can actually find the stream.
Audio transcription. YouTube to OBS. Here's what you need to do. 1. Open YouTube Studio. Click on Go Live. 2. Under the Stream tab, you'll see a stream key. Copy that. Of OBS. Go to Settings and then the Stream section. 4. In the Service drop, select YouTube. 5. Paste the stream key into the stream key field in OBS. 6.
No, something happened there. I don't know what.
I figured it out.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah, I just go to link. Here we go.
I hope that these... So maybe it's just buffering the video a little bit, so that might be glitchy. I mean, I don't really care, I guess. I just don't want our voices to be that, like, truncated and stuff like that, Yeah, calm down, guys.
Chill. You got a lot of fans.
Yeah. And then, there is the echo effect and stuff like
I think all it does crazy.
Damn.
It's crazy.
Mine doesn't have it.
I think it only just goes for the one track one.
It's crazy.
Wow, okay.
It's crazy. Welcome to the show, folks. Yeah.
All right, so we're back to just being regular people again, and
Can you see the viewers if there's any?
I can. There's one concurrent viewer on here, and
I'm pretty sure it's me.
oh, that's it then. Let me see. Send me that link so I can send it out.
Gotcha.
Send it to me, and then I need to have people who have like some YouTube presence. To perfect, and I'm gonna send this to. Well, okay. It looks pretty good. The stream looks good. Let's see.
Link.
I'm gonna
Paste.
Okay, let me just send this. It keeps giving me this. Alrighty, got that. Let me see here. Okay.
All right, my post is up. Let's see how many we get.
Okay, cool. Let me send this on. Anyway,
let's just get back to the convo. People will tap in when they do.
Okay, so we have no concurrent listeners or viewers, but I'm sure we'll just have this up and running anyway. We've been running for 7 minutes and 30 odd seconds. So you went surfing with your mother today, and you guys are getting
Yes.
along again?
Yeah, my mom and I are getting along great.
Because you were having some social static, if I would call it that, with your
Yeah,
folks
for sure.
recently.
For
and
sure.
just maybe in general. I also wanted to mention, I saw your Waldorf school was partially burned down. Did you know that about the school? Speaking, you went
Which-
surfing on Sunset. Did you go to the one over there on Sunset?
No, I didn't go to Westside Waldorf. No, but I
Oh.
know the one you're talking. It's by the Lake Shrine, right?
Yeah, the Lake Shrine, is that okay? So the Lake Shrine is that a temple of some sort, or is it? Because I do know that there is an Jewish Orthodox facility across the street from that like on the corner of Los Leones.
Okay, I didn't know about that, but I know the Lake Shrine is sort of a Buddhist temple
Okay, yeah.
of sorts. They've got some of the ashes of the Dalai Lama there, and it's a very spiritual. And
Which Dalai Lama?
one of them?
One of them. So I met the current Dalai Lama at one point, and I met him he did a lecture, and I knew some of the organizers there, and it was when I was about your age, maybe a little younger,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to his talk there in an area called Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and I was had the privilege to see him in a small auditorium and theater, and then I was able to meet him, which was cool. The actual current Dalai Lama.
What were you doing there?
I was just at the lecture listening. What was I doing? Oh, I was at school in Pittsburgh. I was at
Okay.
Carnegie Mellon University, which
So you're going to school at the time, and he came to speak at the school.
he came to speak not that far from the school. I think it was actually through a college there called Seton Hill University.
And
Not to be confused with Seton Hall.
at the time, was he the Dalai Lama?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. He was
Is-
doing like a lecture tour. What you got there, matcha?
I got a kefir.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice and healthy, and you chose a matching mug almost, or the most sort of matching in a mustard mug to go with a sort of a lime green kefir.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Golden Kiefer, to be exact.
golden kefir. So you went with your no one's on there yet. We have no concurrent viewers, but that's okay. I'm not going to go crazy. So you went to go surfing with your mother at sunset. Do you guys surf often together?
We haven't surfed in over 10 months together because I had the knee surgery.
Yeah. But you
And-
normally surf together.
Yeah, we normally do go every now and then.
Is your mother a pretty good surfer?
Yeah, she's a great surfer.
And
Mhm.
she was longboarding out there? Is she a longboarder?
Yeah, she was longboarding, and I brought a shorter board, like a 7-foot.
Okay. Like
And
a
then-
fun shape, maybe you might
Yeah.
call it. Yeah.
Exactly, like a fun board. Both hard tops, and about 3/4 of the way through the session, we just switched boards, and
And your mother was ripping it on the fun shape?
yeah, she's great.
Okay. Is your dad surf?
No,
Okay.
he doesn't surf, but he can paddle
Because
out.
he's
and-
from Colorado, and he's just like, I don't need this.
Well, he was a surfer at some time, and
Yeah.
and when he talks about surfing, he'll talk about like the biggest wave he ever got, and
Yeah.
he was shredding with some-
Legends.
yeah,
Legends. There's always some shred with
Yeah.
a ledge.
Yeah, there's
So I wanted to. So yeah, you're getting along with your folks again, because let's just brief everybody. Gunner, you're
Yeah,
21 years
let's
old.
tap everybody in.
You're 21 years old.
I'm 21,
And-
and I've been going through some massive changes in life. Even you're not fully caught up. So
Yeah, catch me up.
So I, about a couple weeks ago, really just got back into some old habits, old ways, smoking a bunch of weed,
Mhm.
staying up late. I really got into finding like cryptocurrencies and like just being on this like marketplace app that shows all of the trending cryptos.
Yeah.
And you can filter it in many different ways. So I would find new ones, and then I would buy in, and then I would watch this like green line essentially go up, and then inevitably I wouldn't sell,
Uh-huh.
and it would tank, and so it was like this like addictive cycle that I got into of just like getting into that,
Yeah.
and then
Well, it's funny because my buddy Joey Frank, that's listening in right now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna mention this sort of stuff on the heels.
he's watching right now.
He is. It says concurrent viewers, but I don't see, and because he's giving me feedback of exact sort of part of our dialogue here about the Dalai Lama and Carnegie Mellon, and he said talking kefir and longboard. So he is listening in, but it doesn't show in concurrent viewers. Anyway,
All right.
not to be too transparent, but I had told Joey that he should see this film, and like I said, it's Christiane F., which is the name of the woman who is from Berlin during this time period, which is
Joey Vecchione.
no, this is Joey Frank.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so Joey Frank is a close buddy of mine that's listening in, and he
I'm caught up. Yeah.
and we were in a conversation. Sort of, he had not seen this film, which was about the heroin, I would say, epidemic in the 70s, with teenagers, like very young though,
Wow.
like 13, 14-year-olds.
Wow.
Um,
Jeez.
yeah.
Like shooting up.
Yes, it's incredible. It's crazy, and it's Kinder mit von. I don't know the German title of the actual book. It's written by this Christian. She has, I can't remember her last name now.
You don't
Anyway,
have to go into it.
I don't have to go
yeah.
into it, but it's essentially the kids of Bahnhof Zoo, which is the station, the train station, which is next to the zoological station
So
in
they call
Berlin.
the kids of the zoo essentially because these kids are living at the station
Sort of
doing heroin.
or they're and yes, and so essentially they're kind of like squatting and living their parents. You realize that on the heels of the the war, and Germany had a far different reality to obviously losing World War II than what it would have been to the children essentially of the baby boomer generation in America. Like it has its own malaise, and probably there was drug problems with kids, and the whole 60s movement, and in the 70s it probably got into harder drugs as well, which is true, it has. And you'll see this sort of, I don't know, are you familiar with the film Kids? It's called Kids.
No, but you've talked about it before.
It's directed by Harmony Korine, or it's written by Harmony Korine and directed by Larry Clark. Larry Clark is you should write that down. This is a film you should see. And I think that some of these, there's also another film that captures kind of not homeless or street kids in Seattle, which is called Streetwise. Also kind of like on the lines of, just sort of unparented children. And we're gonna get back to you about, like we're gonna take this around because you have very good parents, I would say. So I'm gonna bring this whole thing full circle if I can. And let me see we're going into another sort of track here. Anyway, speaking of kids, and there's these other, Streetwise captures it as well. And I would also say this graffiti movie that's called Style Wars.
Okay, so it's a lot of street art, a lot of graffiti.
But you can see they don't fixate on the kids' addictions, but a lot of those kids, they're on hard drugs during the filming of it, and they're all kids. They all are like 15, 16, living, sort of also similarly a street culture. So I would say there's a list of kids is dramatized, but it's shot, funny enough, in a vérité, photoplay vérité way. Like, like all the kids are real.
Raw.
And it's raw, but they're not actors. Some of them became actors perhaps afterward. Chloe Savini being probably the most recognizable. Have you ever seen a film or any work of Chloe Savini's? Okay, so she was able to sort of dovetail it into a career for herself after being sort of, cast for her just being,
She capitalized.
Yeah, a kid. In Kids. But so this film is, and it makes me question, they really did so the lead character has her 14th birthday literally during the main, this is all based on a true story. And
wow.
so through the main narrate, like this narrative, probably very memorable, and I haven't read the book, which I should, is that being probably addicted to heroin already.
At 14.
And remembering vividly the birthday cake with the number 14 on it. This is West Germany, West Berlin, and it's essentially a city that's...
This is Kids?
No, this is
the movie you watched.
The one that I saw at Arrow Theater, which I've been aware of its existence, but never really watched it because it wasn't so much the quality was bad, but it's on Criterion, which you can watch it on Criterion Collection, which is a collection of great historic films that you would be privileged if you were a filmmaker in that collection. But they're all classics and all just
Collection.
Criterion. Criterion.
Criterion.
Like criteria, but without the A at the end, O-N at the end. Criterion.
Can you spell that?
Criterion.
That's what I just said.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Did you actually spell that out like that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Sorry.
All good.
I didn't have the...
All right, so back to the show, the movie you watched about the girl, 14.
Christiana F. She, they're living in West Berlin is like, you know, a walled city essentially, and at this time,
Mm-hmm.
in situated on the border of, you know, what would be, you know, well, there's Eastern, you know, you're aware the Berlin Wall came down in 1987.
No.
Really? Okay, so Berlin was you know how that North and South Korea are two separate
Yeah.
entities essentially. You
Yes.
know, and so the Berlin was like that at one point as well, and West and you know, East Berlin was essentially a communist, and you know, like,
Independent.
yeah, they were it was, the city was split in two, and it was a wall that separated them. That's why it's so significant that the Berlin Wall came down in 1987. And it was probably starting to become lax, but I feel like it just really captures a certain moment in
Like, if this is something I don't know about, is this something that I should learn about?
sure.
But like with everything that's happening in
But I mean,
in my life and my goals, like do I really need to know about the Berlin Wall coming down?
You should know about the Berlin Wall. I think it's a significant piece of history.
Why?
Well, because history informs your existence now. Like you're able to better understand where you are, where you're placed in you know, culture at large, but like within the trajectory of human
I
civilization.
don't even know about the history of like Los Angeles and why do
Well, I know,
it
but
just feels strange to be like researching the Berlin Wall when
but you don't have to research the
Yeah.
Berlin Wall. I wouldn't say start there, but you should maybe know your
Sure.
civic history, right? Did you? They didn't teach you that.
Bro, I was
Waldorf school, right?
I was an okay student, man. Like Waldorf school was great because it was very hands-on learning, and we learned about like Gilgamesh and like the like Asgard and like Midgard and like all that stuff, and we learned about drawing, and we learned how to speak some Japanese and you know, creative writing, and we
It's
had
pretty
like
eclectic. is
very
what
eclectic. We had like we did knitting, and we did crochet, and we did we learned math through Peter Plus and Martin Minus. Like we had our like characters of all the different multiplication, addition, subtraction, and
Yeah.
division, and it was very very hands-on learning. You
But
know?
that's just. Well, I mean, that goes without saying that you would learn short math, like your sort of short arithmetic and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
of course. And
I mean, that's just
but I
your
mean, in
basic
school-
stuff. But what I mean is like, okay, so to date me, I'm born in 1975, and so in 1987, when the Berlin Wall comes down, and I'm 12 years old, it's pretty significant, not just culturally, like, you know,
Sure.
like it's on MTV, it's on the news,
It's happening during your lifetime.
yeah, it's happening during my lifetime. But
Were you alive during World War II?
no, no. World War II ended in the late 40s. I guess it's pretty signified by, you know, sort of,
The 40s, okay.
I would say that's why you have so when all those America was really riding high after the success of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you have the generation that's born, like my parents, and maybe a little bit before your parents were born. Your parents are roughly in their
60s.
early 60s, right?
Yeah, my dad's like 62.
So your dad is bordering on being a Generation X, which Generation X is. I'm at the very tail end of Generation X, would be 1965 to 1975. But the baby boomer generation
Before you.
or is before me,
Yeah.
are children, and that's why you hear okay boomers. You'll hear like you never hear boomers. You have
Yeah,
heard this
yeah,
term?
it's a slang, okay, old person.
Okay, old person, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's the baby boom. That was the boom of babies that happened because of America was very successful. America was in the heyday
Sure.
of its existence, really. You know, it's sort of so all those, you know, war heroes and, you know, and general peace although there was continued war forever, it just continues going on. It's just not. We're just not as. We're dealing arms. We're doing a lot of different.
Yeah, we're going
involved
for oil and
yeah, we're involved in war and in different sort of capacities, I suppose, but not directly where we're sending in our infantry and our Air Force, our Navy, like it's full on world war. And so in the wake of that, America is doing really well. Germany is not, right? You can
Yeah.
imagine the sorrow and the sort of guilt and
defeat.
the sense of defeat, all of it, like a lot of weird emotions, not winning, not the like, and I think that war is tragic, no matter what, win or lose.
Yeah.
But it seems to be omnipotent in human nature, as far as as far as I can tell.
Sure.
And so that sort of sense of the children of those people that are dealing with that guilt and sorrow, like they didn't witness, Dresden or or this sort of, but they're living in the wake of that. And so what are they doing with that? Like it's an emotion that they're storing that they can't quite understand, and what would draw them into, because it almost, if you watch the film,
They don't know how to sit. They're confused on what to do in this sort of state.
Yeah,
essentially, and so they resort to drugs.
And this is when they're first starting to feel maybe, this is pubescent kids.
Yeah,
they're
they're
like
just
13. They're just discovering themselves, really.
Yeah, they're like, okay, I'm a human. Like I can.
Or like what makes the
things.
story so touching and different than, is particularly Christiana F, is that different than so I mentioned Style Wars, which is sort of a graffiti documentary, it's a documentary. You're actually seeing the kids being themselves. Maybe they're covertly not revealing who their name is, their graffiti name in the film, but it's them.
Yeah,
They're just them. And then
this is a movie.
Yeah, well, this is the documentary that I mentioned, which is called Style Wars.
Style Wars,
Which is around the same exact time, early 80s. Streetwise, maybe shortly after Seattle, kind of Street Kids, also a documentary. Kids, sort of a verite based on a true story or true things that, sort of, it's very real feeling. And like I said, it has a verite quality to it, but it is still a narrative but it's not really a love story. This is also a love story, which makes it so touching. So the girl is pulled into this world by some, I would say that the first moment that she falls in love is she's entangled into a drug scene at the same time, simultaneously. And what I mean is that I noticed that, I think that, and what I'm getting at here is, I noticed that maybe kids aren't having addictions with substance addictions these days, but they're having like sort of connectivity addiction. Like you have an endless, like the drug is the phone, or like,
Yeah.
and you're somebody who has an interesting, for a younger guy. You have an interest because you've grown up with the phone as it being in existence your entire life. You grew
I
up
wasn't like an iPad kid in Walmart, like watching movies while my parents were shopping, but I did get an iPad when I was about 13, and that was right as I was starting to really understand more about myself and like pursuing things that I liked and what I wanted to do. And it really consumed a lot of me. I mean, like, so much energy goes into making these games and apps addicting. And so my personality and my addictive personality and how introspective I've always been from a young age, this was this device that had all of these miniature goals and like these cool apps and these cool games and these cool things to create and build, and it just like I dove straight into it and I got so into it and so invested that
When you're saying the phone in general,
yeah, just technology in general, games in general. I feel like they're modeled after what kind of life is, but in a much more addictive and quickly gratifying way. Because at the end of the day, these apps are businesses. People are trying to make money
Sure.
with them, and
but that's what so are drugs, right? Like it's a business to somebody. Somebody, you're selling a product. People are addicted to it.
yeah,
They're selling their possessions. They're doing everything they can to.
it's destructive. It was destructive for me, the iPads and the video games, and
How many hours would you spend a day on them?
I don't really know. I don't really like looking back. It was just like whenever I really could. Like if my parents they set limits for me, and they would take things away when I was mischieving but I would hide it in my bed. I would be up late at night. Like there were days where I would skip school and pretend that I was sick. Like even in middle school, I remember this. There was like a week I was a little bit sick, and I really milked that, and I like binged a couple shows and just that.
But I mean, what I would say is that I almost feel like it's pretty normal. It's funny that what I mean is that you
exactly. It might be normal, but like for me, it was very destructive just because of my personality.
Yeah, I know, but you were saying because of your personality, but
I'm such an empath. Like energy is very, very powerful, and there are moments where I have to take my shoes off and like ground and just like recenter because of how sensitive I am. And so
Yeah.
my sensitivity was like, it brought so much confusion to get into these worlds that other people created, that I wasn't, moving towards a goal in life, in tangible reality. Like I was diving into these experiences that were empty, and that made me depressed. Because with no direct, like I went down this path for so long, and then at the end, I'm like, what have I been doing all of this time?
yeah.
Like it almost is bringing me to a point right now where like people would say like you're crashing out. Like it's when somebody like freaks out, they have like they're like an existential crisis. They're like, what the fuck is this? Like what's happening? They blow up. And like I almost feel like I'm still integrating from all of that, from so many different things, from how I've opened my mind through psychedelics and through different meditation practices, and through eating incredibly healthy. Like I'm super tuned into my mind body through how much I've overthink over my life. Like now I don't really overthink as much, because I know how important it is to stay present and work on that. It's a full-time job life, and you can't take any more breaks. Like just with how I've live my life with this intensity, and the point that I'm at where I'm being kicked out of my house for not having a job for like 5 days a week. I didn't go to college. I was
Why didn't you go to college? I was curious.
I didn't feel inspired to. I really, it was like scary for me to go to college. And
Did a lot of your friends go to college?
yeah, most of my friends went to college.
And where did
And-
they go for the couple? Give me a couple instances of where a couple friends went.
Yeah, like I can't even think
What,
about it. Off the
UCLA?
rip. Like probably some of my friends went to community colleges, and also a lot of my friends in high school I'm not like close with them anymore. Like a couple of my friends went to Syracuse, and high school was a thing for me too to kind of get into
To
that.
Syracuse, New York. That's an extreme from
That's where
Southern California.
That's where I was gonna go.
You were going to go to Syracuse
I was-
University.
I was gonna
The
go to
Orangemen.
Yeah, the Orange.
The Orangemen.
Yeah, but you asked
Do they
me like
not call it the Orangemen anymore?
they
'Cause
do.
That's, okay.
Yeah. But you asked me like, where did my friends go to school? And
Well, I'm just curious, like what were the decisions they made? How did it?
sure, most people were.
Because Waldorf is college preparatory. I mean, it's like to prepare you.
Well, Waldorf was first grade, was kindergarten through fifth, and then I went to Paul Revere, which was a regular middle school, big middle school,
Okay,
and then after Paul Revere, I went to Pali High,
where's that?
Palisades.
Oh, Pally. Okay,
Yeah, where
Pally,
the
Palisades.
fires were just happening.
Did it burn down that school?
Part of the school burned down. Yeah.
Yeah, we drove through there actually down Sunset for the first time. I've driven up to PCH obviously a few times,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't drive all the way down. We went up to West Ridge, that trail yesterday.
Yeah, the one.
Just short, like we did a short. I did a little run and went on a hike, and we drove down Sunset, and it's far more it's far more damaged than I had expected, even, and it's crazy. Like, what is it? Paseo Miramar, for instance, that road.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost shocking some of the way that the houses.
Burned.
Not only that, but the way that road is without the infrastructure of the house leaning against it, it feels like
Yeah.
you're gonna fall right off. It's actually unsettling how if
How it looks and how it feels.
yeah, it's great. It's that obviously because it's burned, but also you're like, this is not a safe road actually without the houses. It's a sheer cliff off that road actually, and
Yeah.
a part of the. I don't even know if it's
You don't notice the cliff when the houses are there because
exactly.
you can't see it.
You can't see it.
And then when there's no house or the house is just a bunch of burnt sticks, you're literally looking.
No, you're looking straight over it,
the edge.
and now they've put up a guard. Like I'm like, I can't believe that you could. I can't believe that you could go up to that trail, and then they tell somebody was up there. There was security up there that said it's closed, and it was posted it was closed, so that Los Leones Trail is closed, but also the gates locked. That entrance, and you would obviously be trespassing if you bypass the gate. But I thought maybe we could see if Paseo Miramar was
open.
was accessible, but that also said it had a sign up that said fire damage or whatever, and then so it might be unsafe. But I thought to myself, Jesus, this road is almost unsafe just to get up here. Like literally, it feels as if it could just crumble because the infrastructure of the houses create a barrier as well. It's a structure, that's like with pylons into the ground, it's there. But now without that there, it almost feels like, okay, this road could just crumble right off. And I would feel, and I could see that there's like some houses already for set, that you see Compass or whatever the realtor is already posting signs, and you're just like, who would buy a house up here now? Like, who would possibly, like, maybe you get it dirt cheap and that would be your angle, but it would just be like,
I don't even know, bro.
But so not to digress, and you were very much, we got off path because you went to Pali High, Palisades, and I was just up there.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I don't even think you could go down that road, actually. I'm aware that's off of Temescal, right? Is it not?
Yeah, Palisades is right off Temescal and Sunset.
And so I would imagine that it's really burned because I don't think you can even get on Temescal. Like, it doesn't allow you. Like that's one of the roads that's
both
closed.
sides of Temescal were on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I saw a clip of my friend's his house completely burnt, and he had a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
And so while the fires were happening, he rushed to get his brother's Ferrari out of the
priorities.
Yeah. Get the Ferrari out. And this was right. He comes down Temescal right after they was traffic jammed, right? So Temescal, everyone's trying to leave the Palisades.
And they're abandoning cars.
Everything's on fire. People are abandoning cars and running down. So it creates this traffic jam that's unstopped. Like, nobody can get through. And so they bulldoze it to get the fire trucks through, so that people driving. They
bulldoze the cars.
The cars.
With people in the cars? I'm not sure about that.
Well,
maybe I think
they probably did something. They probably on the megaphone, like, get out of your car. We're bulldozing it. Get out. They probably ran down the street, checked and made sure that nobody was in their cars. Then they bulldozed the entire traffic jam with nobody in the cars that I know of.
Okay.
And essentially 5 minutes after they did that, my friend's driving down in the Ferrari and he's like filming it. There's smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
Like the engine lights are
So
going
he
on.
was able to get out of there.
He got the Ferrari survived.
Priorities. He wasn't worried about those, that maybe somebody's dog, cat. He wanted to get that horse.
Yeah, he got that prancing horse to safety.
That's crazy. So yeah, I think maybe he should know about the Berlin Wall if he's getting, like, you know, that's the trade-off. If that's pretty materialistic. I mean, I was gonna say that people kind of abandoned.
I mean, you go for the most valuable thing first.
I know, but so I remember hearing, and I've seen him down there. I've run into it. I don't really care that much about Hollywood celebrities, but I've seen Mel Gibson down there at the Golden Bull.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Mel Gibson is?
I know that name, but I don't know who she. I can't picture her. I don't know what she's done. Like,
No, it's him.
Oh.
Mel Gibson. He's a Brit.
it sounds like a chick.
He's a Australian. No, Mel is a man's name often. I don't know. Melvin. It's Mel Torme.
Melvin is fine, yeah. Or
So-
Melissa.
Yeah, so Mel Gibson is a Scottish. No, he is an Australian actor. And are you looking him up right now?
Yeah, sure.
So, you've seen Braveheart, no? There's some
No.
classic movie. That's he did the last what else he did? He was in those buddy pictures with Danny Glover, Lethal Weapon. That's also one of his big hits. Lethal Weapon 2, but Lethal Weapon I would say is.
I'll look him up. So you see your what about Mel Gibson?
He's because he's, I guess, famously lost his house in the Palisades, and I'm sure a lot of celebrities did. But he was like being interviewed, or I think that he was on, famously, speaking of podcasts, on the Joe Rogan show during while the Palisades was on fire, and he was promoting his new film. And I don't even know what it is. I don't pay that close of attention to what Mel Gibson's working on, and so I think he was one of these interviewers that, and maybe because he does the Passion of Christ and stuff like that, he's kind of, famously a Christian, and this Braveheart is sort of also
Is that something I should watch?
I mean, there's such a list of films
There's
that
like
wouldn't be the top of. I wouldn't say watch Lethal Weapon and Braveheart and The Passion of Christ wouldn't be at the top of my list per se, but those are Mel Gibson films that he's either famously acted in or directed, and also acted in. I believe The Passion of Christ he directed. I think Braveheart he produced, directed, and maybe starred in. Don't quote me on it, but Mel Gibson is a famous actor probably a very endowed actor who with keepsakes, that he didn't prioritize getting anything out of there. I'm not sure. He said he lost, maybe a 16th century book, all kinds of things, and he just thought it was a purging.
Yeah.
He looked at it as like a purge, as a clean, it was just cleansing.
A cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that he welcomed it, and that what I'm questioning about running and getting the Rari out in the middle of the fire is like risking your life for something that would probably be replaceable if it was insured, right?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's maybe it could have potentially contributed to the congestion. Like maybe leave it parked and just say fuck it, and like it's gonna get burned down and that's it.
I mean, it wasn't me.
I know.
I'm.
This is just me thinking about it out loud. But
Is that what you call hearsay? Somebody talking about somebody else?
well, no, what that's your friend. You have you had a direct. That wouldn't be hearsay. Would be where it was like a rumor, like that hearsay is
They
almost.
said that a lot during the Johnny Depp trial. They're like hearsay.
Well, that is hearsay is used in
It's-
it's a litigious term, really, obviously, but it's used casually as well. But hearsay when it's used in a courtroom is meaning that it's like that's not factual.
You can't
And
bring
it's-
that up. As
Yeah,
in
you
it.
can't use that as evidence.
So they can cut you off by saying objection hearsay.
Yes, and
What if you object and your objection is like wrong? You're like
it happens all the time. Overruled, objection sustained, or it would like when they say overruled, or sustained, and so it's that meaning that it allows the jury to know that
That's
little piece of
okay.
evidence can be. But there's all kind of. If you're an effective lawyer, you know what you're doing, even if it's hearsay. You're building a case and you're creating drama.
yeah,
It's
you
its
can
own theater.
you can say some hearsay here and there just to like
Just to put it in the heads of the
to plant some seeds.
Of course. So, but it can't be used, and you might take that in consideration. I did a jury duty recently. I told you that. Did
yeah,
I?
It was some intense shit too. I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, it was like eight. I think we were in there for 8 or 9 weeks or something. Maybe we were in the 8th week for
8 weeks, bro.
a 10-count murder trial. Well, 10 counts. One of them being murder in the first degree. But 10 counts are, like other things like shooting into a car, there's all kinds of,
Broken laws.
Yes, but one of those and the major one in that 10 count and probably,
Why does there even need to be a trial for somebody who murdered? Like you're
you're entitled.
locked up, bro.
But that's a part of the judicial system is that you're entitled to
A trial.
A trial, yeah, and tried by
How much
your
money do you
peers.
think goes into
A lot, actually.
that? Dude, oh my god.
And it's funny you should mention that the judge who was very entertaining, he was kind of a Larry David character. Do you know who Larry David is? I think I asked you this before and you didn't know. You need to write it. Larry David it's a Palisades show. The man lives in Palisades. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I know Larry David. I saw
Okay.
him on SNL one time.
Well, he's famous for producing the Jerry Seinfeld show, which you didn't know what that was either. The last
I know
time.
Seinfeld. My friend's mom was the costume designer
Okay.
for Seinfeld.
Which wasn't much to design there because it was like they dressed as themselves. Maybe Kramer was like sort of this 60s character, but I feel like they all kind of played themselves.
Yeah, Larry David's a jolly guy.
He's
like,
not necessarily jolly. I
he's
would say
like
he's-
happy, you know?
I would
He's
say cynical and kind of like,
cynical.
yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking at his photo and he just looks like he's smiling and most
Yeah,
of
because
them.
his smile is a smug smile. It's a part of his character.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's kind of laughing through his, he's like it's his style, he's kind of like he's entertained by his own smugness, really. It's just like it's what it is to be smug. And he's funny, obviously. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a funny show. But how did I digress there? What were we talking?
What does digress mean? Like
Go
you
back.
rambled on?
I rambled on not moving the conversation forward where we were at with the conversation, and it was somewhere along the lines of Larry David. I can't remember.
The Rari.
The
Saving the
Rari.
Rari. Then you talked about the other actor guy.
The other actor guy.
Who was in Braveheart?
Oh, Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Palisades people, maybe.
Palisades Fires.
We got off on the Palisades Fire because you went to Palisades High,
Yes.
and that's how we got.
You asked me about college.
I asked you about college, and so Waldorf. I thought maybe, and there are Waldorf schools that go from K2 through 12. I think that there are other, schools in that sort of like Quaker schools and Steiner schools and schools that have these, these similar sort of private charter educational programs that go from K through 12. I believe Waldorf also does. So
Yeah, there's definitely private Waldorf schools.
that go through
12.
senior year,
Yeah.
through 12th grade. And so when I said college preparatory, that's when and so were you in college preparatory classes? Were you preparing to go to college when you were at Pally High?
Yeah, I've been taking college classes since I was like in 8th grade.
Yeah, and you took SATs?
I took SAT. No.
Hmm.
Wait.
So maybe
I
you weren't
did.
okay.
I did. Yeah, I actually did, and I did all right.
Yeah.
I didn't study. I was at a point in life where I was like,
I like how you say you were at a point in life, like it was, you were like, what, 16, 17. You're like, I was at a stage in life. No, you were a teenager.
well, I was going through some shit because like I was throughout high school, I was playing a character of somebody who's trying to fit in. Like I wasn't myself. I wasn't being authentic with who I am. I wasn't spending time with the people.
And how are you trying to fit in though? What was fitting in? Fitting into what exactly?
Fitting into a mold of like trying to hang out with the people who I saw as cool. Like,
Was it like bros?
yeah, it was like
broy culture.
like broy culture, but also like I really wanted to be invited places. I wanted
wanted to be popular.
I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be.
Were you popular and liked?
Yeah.
I mean, how big is
There's like 3,000 kids there.
It's a big school.
A huge school. Yeah.
And
I really wanted to fit in with that like Palisades crew. Like there's like a couple crews in Pally High.
And did they play football? I'm just wondering, like, what is the archetype? Is it sort of counterculture archetype? Is it like surfer bros? Is it like skater bros? Is it? And when I'm saying bros, I mean you could be
you could be a girl and be part of the skater bros. It wasn't really the archetype was
because California is what we. Let me put it this way.
I'm having a hard time articulating right now. I just genuinely am.
All good.
Yeah.
Let me just take over. Like I'll just guide you. So like when I think of a lot of these places, when I think of California especially, I think of
BG archetype, like maybe the
no, but I think of like Clueless.
Like rich.
Have you seen the film Clueless?
No.
You should write. I think that we should make a list of films that I think are significant. I don't think necessarily the Mel Gibson ones are, but I think that Clueless is an interesting sort of, I don't know. It's a film that kind of captures like the Valley Girl. That's the lead. What's her name? Can't even remember her name now. It's terrible. Can you look that up? Do you want to look up Clueless and look up that cast of characters? And it's just like maybe they were. I feel like. Have you ever seen the show Beverly Hills 90210?
No.
So.
1995.
Yes, and I graduated high school in 1994. So it's what I mean is that it's.
You want the cast?
I think her name's Alicia Silverstone. Is that the?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so she is like this quintessential Valley girl, in my perception. Like it's like I don't know. I think it takes place in Beverly Hills, or I don't even know what, or it's Hollywood High, which is famous for content and like skateboard videos and stuff like that. But the idea of because Hollywood is producing most of the movies that we're seeing, especially like these sort of campy, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Have you seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Maybe.
Sean Penn. I mean, that's all. Those are That's a classic. That's like I would say even cult
No,
classic at this
no,
point.
no, I haven't.
I don't. So I should look up all these high schools, even if they weren't specifically set in.
Is this the movie about the people who go in detention?
No, that's The Breakfast Club. Also filmed in California, obviously, but it's not. I think it is. But see if it takes place in California. I'm pretty sure that because The Breakfast Club is, and even if you think of all these
remember this
high
movie.
school, like I think it was just Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 40th anniversary. It was 40 years since Ferris Bueller.
I love that movie.
Okay, so you know Ferris Bueller.
I love that.
Okay, so
Yeah. I watched that movie with my mom's friend Akihiro Nora, who's a Japanese exchange student who can barely speak English, and I put that movie on for him.
And what did he think? He was laughing.
Yeah, he was just kind of sitting there watching it, and I was loving it.
He was taking in the style. It's pretty
Yeah.
stylish. I mean, Ferris is he's became, speaking of archetypes, an archetype of his own, sort of like the slacker, sort of
A swaggy slacker.
yeah, sort of, but also a California, probably in the Palisades. I think that his where they put
It looks like Brentwood.
yes, it does, and I think of all these dating. Of course, there's scenarios in which it is, and it became a genre, it's sort of like this California high school thing. I mean, 90210, the show.
It was in Chicago, dude. They went to
It
a
was?
baseball game and
Oh, okay.
yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is not California at all.
All right. So see, I'm wrong. So
Yeah.
it's been, I would
There's
say
no
it's been
there's
20
no
years
beach
since
in
I've
that
seen.
movie.
No,
There's no beach in
but
that
you
movie.
don't. I noticed.
But it's
that-
in a suburb, It's in a nice suburb.
Where was it actually filmed in Chicago? Can you find that out? Was it it took place in Chicago, but was it actually filmed in Chicago? I just remember it being
In and around Chicago, Illinois.
okay.
Glenbrook North High School, the Art Institute of Chicago, Wrigley Field, and their house is in Highland Park.
Highland Park, which is the
Highland
wealthy neighborhood of Chicago. Yes, it's the suburb of Chicago.
Yes.
So I couldn't. I just remember it being the garage. I remember, it being the garage where he puts the car in reverse.
Yeah, he puts it through the window, and it's
I thought that might have been the Palisades, just it felt like a cliff in
Yeah.
my memory. That's what
Yeah.
I was fixating on. Anyway, so that Ferris Bueller's not, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Where is Ridgemont High? And I think that's probably based on it's Ridgemont. It is not a real high school in California, but it's obviously California. You could only have a character like Chris Penn, Spicoli.
Van Nuys High
Van Nuys.
School.
Yes, there you go. Which is
Santa
named-
Monica High School.
They filmed at Santa Monica High School.
Samo High. Yeah.
Samo High. Okay, there you go. So you should watch that.
Why? Why do I need to watch that?
I just think it's classic. I think that cinema, and maybe that's interesting.
I just
that
don't
this
feel
is
like
another,
putting more shit in my head. I feel like I gotta
Sure.
just
Well, this is something that I'm curious about. So, do you feel like that's the sentiment of a lot of your peers? Is that they want less media? They want because, for instance,
I don't know. I feel kind of I feel very different from a lot of my peers because if I spend my morning scrolling TikTok and I'm relating to my younger brother, he's a Division I athlete at DU. My parents view him as he's doing great,
Mhm.
and he spends his morning on TikTok just scrolling. He doesn't hydrate himself, he doesn't go outside. My goal in the morning is to get outside, hydrate,
Sure.
get my day started, be optimized.
He's doom scrolling.
He's doom scrolling, and yeah, I want less media, and I know there's a huge there's a lot of people that I relate to in that sort of you gotta lock in, stay away from the brain rot.
Yeah.
There's definitely people like that, yet the people I've come across who are like that are usually focused on something. Like they've got a business that they're creating, or they're, most of them are working on some sort of business.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, I don't
So-
really know. I got a couple different things going on, but I don't really know which one
Do-
is the greatest step forward right now. I feel like the greatest
Do-
step forward is the business I'm working on with the farmers market, like delivering farmers market food to people's houses. I think that can be a huge thing. Like
That could be cool.
like you could have an app for that.
Sure, you could.
Sure.
So yeah, that dovetails into our podcast from doing at the farmers market, I suppose.
Mhm.
Or that you really took an interest more in the farmers market recently. Like obviously you shopped there,
Yeah, I
but
shopped there.
you shopped there before and you were aware of its existence, but then you kind of embraced the community of the farmers market a little bit more. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, like the kind of like, and I think that's a great place for someone like you who would call yourself a biohacker to start.
Not anymore.
You don't.
I'm not trying to hack anything.
Well, it's not hacking, but
The term, I don't really use it.
you don't
It
agree with the
doesn't-
term.
It's somebody brought it up to me the other day, and I really related to it because it's like I'm not trying to hack anything. I'm not trying to hack my biology. I'm just trying to optimize my life and live in alignment.
Yeah.
And with that comes like the caveat of like noticing everything that's out of alignment. And so that can be sort of stressful when like I'm in an environment that feels out of alignment, where, I'm surrounded by people who I don't feel aligned to, and people are like, Gunnar, why are you being rude? Or why aren't you like doing like people will criticize me, and I'll say like, I won't really know how to respond other than just saying okay. Like,
Mhm.
okay. And they're like, why don't you have a response? Like, for example, my mother, like we're walking yesterday. We're walking back from Levain Bakery. We just got like dessert, and I saw this really cool.
Where's Levain Bakery?
It's on Abbot Kinney.
Okay.
It's a brand new, it's a New York bakery, actually. It's a cookie shop.
Uh-huh.
And so my dad loves cookies. So it's Father's Day. We went down, we got cookies and a little bit of ice cream, and we're walking back, and we're all having a grand old time. And they are walking faster than I'm walking. And I'm not gonna like speed up my pace to be with the group. Like I'm just gonna do
and
me.
And the group is your
My
parents.
mom, my parents, and my brother. And
oh, so your brother was back to
yeah,
from
he's back from college.
oh, he's on break.
Yeah, he's on summer break.
How's that going?
It's going good.
I mean, is it nice to have him back in the house?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him so much.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So we're walking back,
Yeah.
and I stopped to take a photo of this really beautiful house that was in a juxtaposition with like the foliage. It was kind of like sticking out behind, and it was almost like a tunnel vision moment that was really cool that I captured.
Yeah.
And they were like walking off into the distance, and instead of like calling out like, "Hey, wait for me," like I'm not that guy.
You were just working at
I
your
was
own
just
pace.
working at my own pace. And my mom turned around finally when they get to the house, and I'm like half a block away from me. And she's like, Gunnar, that's so uncool that you wouldn't walk with us. Like, what's up with that? Like, we were having such a great time, and like now, you're always doing your own thing. Like what? Like just criticizing me. And I'm just like, what? Like I'm not.
But yeah, I don't know if
Like,
that's I don't know if it's that critical. I mean, she's criticizing you. She just wanted you to be a part of the group
Yeah, of
or
course.
to share
And
in
she
the
could have.
moment.
She could have just like been present and looked left and right and been like, "Oh, Gunnar's like 20 feet behind us. Let's stop and wait."
So, how long has your brother been back for?
2 weeks.
Oh, okay, so he's fully integrated back into the
Yeah, he is.
and your parents are in the midst of cleaning up their place to prepare it to rent out. Is that correct as well?
Yeah, correct. They recently just took all the photos of the house, and that was like a big thing to get everything out of the house so that the photographer could come and get the clean photos with none of the stuff on the shelves and just
So they're renting it out furnished.
furnished.
Okay. And so you're and they're moving to Vale, you said, right?
Yeah, Vale.
And that's where they're going to live permanently. Is your dad going to retire? Is he going to no longer?
Yeah, both of them are going to retire.
Cool. And this is building out the house next door is your father's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my dad's building the house next door.
What do we have to? Are you getting toward the time that you have to get going
Yeah, I gotta go
at 3:00?
at 3:00.
We're at 3:00, my friend. We'll have to pick it up again another time.
Yeah.
But this is just like the dialogue.
Yeah, tune in next time to hear about what it's like to live at a sober living home.
Is that where you're gonna be?
That's where I'm gonna be sleeping tonight and for the foreseeable future until I get my own place.
Wow. So let's do you have a minute to talk about that for a sec? Do you want to give it like 5 minutes? You have to get over to the sober living house.
I gotta pack my shit and go.
Wow. And what's your brother doing? He's just staying at home. He's fine.
Yeah.
This is an odd. Where's the sober living house at?
It's in Mar Vista.
Do you not want to put this on blast, or do you want to
I
talk? I think we should talk about it.
I think we should talk about it too, but
Let's pick it up on the next
let's
episode.
pick it up on the next episode.
But for now, I think you should watch. I think that cinema. So for me, I'm just going to end it with this. Give me 2 minutes here, basically.
Yeah, give our viewers a call to action. What should we do before the next episode?
Well, I just want to know. So for me, cinema so shaped my existence. Like watching film. I really enjoy. Like it's something that it was something I was passionate. It's why I probably still imagine making it. And it makes me wonder. Do you feel that most kids, and I know that you're not like most kids, as you established just recently here during this conversation, but do you feel that most kids don't care about cinema anymore or care about film?
Do I feel that most kids don't care about cinema?
Like, is it something that they don't really watch movies? They don't care about movies. They don't really talk about movies. They don't I saw an incredible, because I was going to say that
I don't know.
I was going to say that theater, that seeing this, what I think is a pretty classic piece of cinema, incredible piece of cinema, really. It wasn't very many kids there, and I feel like the kids that are there, it's a particular sort of cinephile, like someone who's like it would almost appear as if it was somebody maybe from my generation that would be into like rare books.
I feel like kids care about shit. Like care
No,
about
I know that they
movies.
care about it, but like, is it just popular movies, or is it just?
I'm not really that tapped into the youth anymore, to be completely honest
You're
with you.
youth, though, not to be not tapped in, but you're okay.
Bro, I'm not in high school. I don't really hang out with kids on a daily basis. The people that I work with are all adults.
Yeah.
And the kids that I am friends with are working on like day trading, sales. They're, in content creation. They're in like music. Like we're all kind of like hustlers. And I can't remember the last time I talked about a movie with a friend.
Yeah. That's what I'm asking. So there you go.
I don't
In
know.
a nutshell, do you ever overhear? I'm just curious, because
It's really, I'm at a stage where it's like weird to be like focused on being tapped into current culture.
well, but these things are the films that I had mentioned aren't current culture at all, and that they would be
Okay.
almost like obviously Fast Times at Ridgemont High is sort of a classic. It's also 40 years old. It even probably predates Ferris Bueller even.
It
They're
would be
just like a
it would be good
classic
to have
80s movie.
this young guy I'm close with, Mason, on the show, because he's still in high school, and he can
Okay.
and he can speak to a lot of this stuff. Like
We'll talk to him.
yeah.
I'd love to have him on.
yeah, we'll have him on.
What's it, Mason? Where's he go to school?
He goes to Samo High, and he's a
There you go.
senior now. He just graduated junior year. Great kid. He and I worked together. I've mentored him for the past like 3 years.
Where did he go? So he's going to go into his senior year. He didn't graduate yet. You said graduated from he completed his junior year, and now he's going to go to his senior. He's going to be a senior this coming year, and you mentored him in what capacity?
In the capacity of becoming like having the understanding that he's responsible for everything going on in his life, and that he can create the life that he wants to live through his actions, habits, and systems.
Mhm.
And so we've worked together to sort of clean some of the gunk out of his routines, as far as like habits that don't serve him, and helping him realize those things just through, having a dialogue,
How do you-
talking to him.
How do
about
you
it.
know Mason?
I know Mason because we're family friends. We got to
Okay,
wrap it
cool.
up.
Let's wrap it up. And listen, let's get you back here we'll talk about the sober living on the next episode.
Sure.
Great. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. There's 3 concurrent viewers that we have here at the moment, but we'll have more, I'm sure, in the future, and this will be posted in some way. Thank you again.